All right, so I came across this on Instagram. This is something that was posted on the rapper Big Gipp from the group Goodie Mob. I love that group. I fuck with him as an artist. But a lot of his political takes make no fucking sense, and this is one of them. So I'm going to react to this video, and I'll do this with all due respect. If Big Gipp happens to see this, or anyone who fucks with Big Gipp happens to see this, this is not intended to be disrespectful. I am simply interacting with the thoughts he's expressing. That's it.
You know, I got to come to you about the trending topics. I mean, how do you feel post-election? We talked before the election or right at the election. How do you feel about these first few days?
I feel like this. We getting exactly what the other party gave the other party the power to do.
Ooh.
See,
what does that even mean? We're getting exactly what we gave the other party the power to do. What does that even mean?
Right now, if you upset that these folk going through government and going through the paperwork, I thought that's what every business do in America.
Ooh.
A new president audit come in, we hit the audit. That is.
Well, I think that what confuses me about what he's saying is, yeah, every time there's a new administration, they're gonna load up the government with their people. You know, they're gonna appoint their cabinet and, you know, sub cabinet levels officials. So that's normal. An audit, okay, like what are we like? What's triggering this? Like what does this have to do with the previous administration? So if you feel like the government is not functioning properly, and so you want to audit it, that's cool. But just in reaction to the previous administration, like this is a business, like so a new CEO comes in and he's going to audit the previous, like this makes no sense what he's talking about.
Music business, this business, and to see all this waste is kind of like, man, y'all giving ground to what he doing. Mm-hmm. If your hand got caught in the cookie jar.
To see all of this waste, what waste is he talking about? Is he talking about Elon Musk and Donald Trump saying that there's waste? Or is there actual waste that he's referring to? Because the thing is, everybody knows the biggest part of our budget is the Department of Defense. They haven't even started there. They started with all of these other agencies that add up to small percentages of the government. And he's saying we're finding all of this waste. So like, what the fuck is he talking about? Because Donald Trump going Truth Social and say that they found waste, or because Elon Musk tweets that they found waste? Have they gone before Congress and demonstrated before Congress in a public setting so the people can see exactly what they're talking about and have what they're putting forth cross-examined? Have they done that? They have not. So he's just going with what people say.
And it come up faulty, then hey man, he gonna have all the right in the world to change the game. Mm-hmm. So I'm just looking at it like, man, when people can point out all this waste and then also people can see an agenda for what you're doing. It's like you got money for everything but for helping people in the United States. That ain't to me at the end of the day, it's
you got an agenda. You got money for helping everybody but people in the United States. Well, that's something the United States government's been doing for a long time. That didn't start with Joe Biden. That's been a bipartisan effort. And the reason why the United States government is not Santa Claus, they're not giving money away for no reason. If the United States is giving money to another country, it's because the United States has determined that there's an interest for us in doing that. Not just because like, hey, let's just throw this money. Trust me, the government is not giving countries or people money unless they've determined that there's some type of interest for doing so. Now we can get into a debate and argue and disagree on if those are valid reasons, you know, but let's not pretend like, hey, we're just throwing away money for no reason.
It's either family first or you need to go move where you want to be. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we can all feel like that, you know, I tell people all the time, if you grew up in the South, you're a different kind of guy than you are if you grew up any other kind of way.
Yeah.
So in the South, it was always just us and white people. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand.
That's not limited to the South. I grew up in the Midwest. In the town where I grew up, it was probably like 90% black, maybe 8% white, 2% other. So that's not limited to the South. That's like a South and Midwest thing. On the coast is a little bit different. It's more diverse, but it's also like that in the Midwest.
Understand what I watch go on in the politics now is that they've hooked up every other nationality and every other situation to what black people had to go through by themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why this man got in office and he said, you know what? I'm going to strip away everything and make everybody zero again. So now the black.
Okay. I don't even know where to start with that. So Donald Trump got into office and he said he's going to strip away everything and make everybody zero again. What the hell does that mean? I'm hoping that he elaborates because what he just said made no sense to me.
Black people, y'all can't talk about what y'all went through. Okay, Jewish people, you can't act like the Holocaust and this and that. People should care about this.
When did Donald Trump say that Jewish people cannot talk about the Holocaust? If you saw that, go just DM me and let me know. Just send me the videos. Show me where I can see that.
The Indians, whatever you went through, we stripping away everybody props.
Yeah.
And we gonna make it even. So at the end of the day,
even to who? Even to what? Did he? Okay, let's just take at face value what he's saying that is true, even though I don't think it is. So Donald Trump stripped away Black History Month. He he stripped away Jewish people from talking about the Holocaust. He stripped away Native Americans from talking about being robbed of their land. What did he strip away from white people? So you sit here and acknowledge, or at least think that he's stripping away all of these minority groups and making everything equal, but you didn't mention anything about white people and him stripping away something from white people. So even if that is true, like you would be okay with that? Like you would be okay with, okay, you can't celebrate, acknowledge your history, and neither can any of these other groups, but white people just keep doing what you're doing.
for me personally, you unloaded everybody up on our struggle. Hey man, take it away. And then when we learn that, when we look at the actual DEI, the DEI.
So this is the thing that I've been hearing a lot of black people say this, and it's kind of unfortunate because it just shows me people are not strategic thinkers. When you look at black people making up 13% of the population, we don't have the political power ourselves to do anything. Anything that we're going to get done within the political system is going to require allies. It's going to require some white people. It's going to require some Hispanic people, Latinos. It's going to require some Asian people. It's going to require a coalition of people. Black people, if every single black person got together and said, hey, this is what we want to do politically, you might be able to get some stuff done in some states or districts where, is enough black people that maybe, I think it's like maybe a handful of cities where black people make up the majority, no states, and definitely not in the country. So what can we ever get done without coalition building?
Listen, man, black people at the bottom.
Exactly.
So go on, scratch it.
And then the other thing people keep talking about is DEI is not something that's exclusively for black people. Let's think about that. So, and I'm not saying that you should be for or against DEI. What I'm saying is this. So if let's say there's a program that helps you get a house, okay? But in the process, it also helps Hispanic people get a house, Jewish people get a house, gay people get a house, and other groups that might struggle to, break that barrier of entry to get a house. Okay, you're against it because it doesn't help you exclusively get the house, even though you qualify for it, but so do other people. But you're against it because it's not exclusive for you.
Right.
Exactly.
Because it ain't helping us none anyway. And really, it's just another group who empowered over that, and they putting it on this person, and they just playing the middleman, getting the money and the kickbacks everywhere going on everywhere. So hey, man, like.
Okay, so he mentioned people getting kickbacks. What evidence does he have of that? I'm not saying that it does or doesn't happen, So if you're gonna make these type of claims, like at least allude to where you're getting this information. Refer to some study, refer to some news article, refer to some congressional hearing, refer to something that we all can say, oh yeah, I remember that.
Stop using the black face as the face, but it ain't got no power.
Yeah.
Just a jest.
Well, now I feel you. So now, do you think exactly? Because I mean, when it comes to the DEI, and then they talking about what all Elon Musk is working on too. He went over there and told the Germans, y'all need to stop feeling guilty all the time. Like you said, scratching everybody back to zero.
Yeah. You just taking everybody guilt button away. See, if everybody's zero, then I ain't got to care about you. I got to care about what you're doing right now.
Oh,
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? And I think right now, really, where we are right now, everybody should want to be judged on what they got right now. Not.
No, I agree with what he's saying. I think that there is a lot of victimhood. People want to use what happened decades and centuries ago to kind of excuse their lack of output right now. So I do agree, as individuals, we got to take accountability and look in the mirror at what we're doing right now and what we are capable of doing if we're living up to those capabilities. Like, no fucking doubt about it. But at the same time, we cannot pretend like history did not happen. And today, things that happen is sometimes a result of that. So for instance, if your grandfather wasn't able to get access to the GI Bill, but your white friends was, or your grandfather wasn't able to purchase a house in a decent neighborhood, he had to go in this rundown industrial place, and your white friend could, he could get a decent house, and then his grandfather could get a decent house, and then you fast forward to now, and then you say, okay, that wealth from his grandfather was able to be transferred down. The education that his grandfather was able to get to then get a good job or start a business, that can be transferred down. So we can't pretend like what happened in the past doesn't have an impact on what happened today. Nothing just started today. Everything derives from something else. So yeah, we can walk and chew gum. We can acknowledge like, hey, fucked up shit used to happen, and things have been done to kind of correct that, and we should continue to correct different inequities. But yeah, also as an individual, you have to be responsible and accountable for what you're doing today. You can't just sit around and blame the system, the white man, the government, all of this shit. So I kind of agree with him, but at the same time, you just can't pretend like shit that happened didn't happen. And it doesn't, not only that it didn't happen, but it doesn't have an impact on what you see today.
About what somebody else did or somebody else went through. Because that man just walked up into the Treasury office with nothing but 20 to 25-year-old human beings, and they going through all the paperwork.
Yeah.
So that lets you know. And then for the other part, the Democrats.
So again, he's going off of what people are saying on Twitter, what people are saying on social media. What I would like to see happen is whatever Elon Musk and his team is finding, if they're really finding fraud, waste, and abuse, I would like to see them go before the Congressional Oversight Committee in the House, and I would like to see them questioned by both Republicans and Democrats. And obviously the Republicans are going to ask some very softball questions, and obviously the Democrats are going to ask more tough questions because they're the opposition party. But I think somewhere in between the two, the easy questions and the more tough questions, an astute observer can get some type of idea of, okay, what he's saying is true and it makes sense, or you know what, it's not really passing the test. But what you can't do is just go off of a tweet or what someone is saying on social media and act that like that's gospel. Like, where are you getting this information that this is what it is, other than someone saying this and they're not being cross-examined? What they're saying is not being challenged or pushed back in a public forum.
Y'all just look like a bunch of women screaming at the camera right now with no power. This is like the old saying you a dog just barking at the moon.
Yeah.
He ain't got no power.
Yeah, he's right. The Democrats don't have any power because they lost the presidency, they lost the House, they lost the Senate. And that's the nature of politics in this country. It swings back and forth. But just because you don't like the Democrats or because they don't have power doesn't mean that everything the current administration says should be accepted as gospel. They should have to demonstrate what they're saying. And I would say the same thing about a Democrat. Like I'm if Joe Biden was saying that, hey, I'm going to bring in this billionaire and he's finding all this fraud and all of this abuse and wasted money. Okay, great. Come before Congress and let the Republicans in Congress ask some tough questions of this person, right? Let the Democrats ask some questions of this person. So it's not that anybody's against finding fraud, waste, and abuse. The thing is, where's the transparency? Where is the ability for me to see, hey, this is what we found? And then someone to say, well, actually, that's not really that what you're saying. And then you say, actually, yes, it is because of this, this, and this. And then they can say, oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. Or on second thought, what about this other thing that is making the numbers that you're saying skewed or is connected to some type of law that you're not referring to? Something like none of that's happening other than, hey, here's a Doge website. Here's what we're auditing ourselves. The auditors are auditing themselves. Who's auditing the auditors? Right. So the bottom line to take away from this is, like I said, I fuck with Gibbs music. I fuck with Goodie Mob. But I think the problem that I observe from him is he is restricted to a media diet that consists of conspiracy theory and nothing but right wing talking points.